All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Solution Sunday, where the soul is the solution. I am here this morning with my new friend, Kelly Libby, who is an intuitive mind-body coach and consultant. And I was so excited to meet Kelly because she and I talk the same language when it comes to our bodies and healing. So this morning we wanted to talk about free to be healthy, wealthy, wise, happy, anything we want. But good morning, Kelly. Welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me on. I'm so excited to dive into a conversation with you about all kinds of really cool topics. I love helping people feel expanded and unplugging them from the thoughts and beliefs that make them feel like they're stuck, they're helpless, they're hopeless. There's no next thing for them. It's really about changing your point of view, whether we're talking about the body or we're talking about your life or your health, because it's all one holistic system, one organic system that's all working together. So today I hope to give you some insights to break through any confinement, any calcification in your brain that's causing you to feel stuck or not expansive, or like you can't get the answers that you want. So I'm so happy to be here. I'm so thankful that everyone's joining us. So hello if you're live, or if you're on the replay, hello. And feel free to pipe in and ask any questions that we can answer and we can give insight based on our point of view. To give you a little bit of my background, I've been really in this industry for about 20 years. I opened my first business in 2010. So I've been professionally in this business for 11 years, right? If I can do my math, use the left side of my brain here. I'm a holistic health consultant, board certified, as well as a yoga instructor, as well as an intuitive. And what really, inspires me is giving people answers about their body, because I was taught a very physical type of model, and I think we're all taught a very physical type of model with our bodies, but the truth is there's so much more to us. And when we can tune into and understand what the so much more is, then we can really make some changes in our physical body, because it's the invisible, the energy that's actually affecting the physical. And so if we work at the physical and not with the energy, we're never going to get anywhere with our body. Hence the disconnect when it comes to Western medicine that only looks at the physical body. So today we're really going to talk about what is the invisible and how do we even, build a relationship with that to use it in our favor to expand not only our health, our vitality, but also our mind and our life. So let's begin this conversation. So I think it's an awesome thing. Lisa and I were just talking about this before we got on, is what is the difference, I guess, between Western medicine, allopathic medicine, and say energy medicine and holistic medicine, and this other realm of medicine that so many people are seeing as a benefit to them. And so many people are seeing their bodies heal from things that the doctors told them they couldn't heal, and resolving things inside their body that everyone told them it was impossible. You're just going to have to deal with it. You're just going to have to learn to live with it. In this world, that language doesn't exist, because we know it's BS, right? We can wave the BS flag on that. So just to give you a little background, if this whole language is new to you, which is probably not if you're on the call, but Western medicine, it does deal with symptoms. I have this symptom, right? And then your doctor might say, okay, well, here is a prescription, a medicine to help suppress that symptom. Well, the thing is, your body is so much more intelligent than that. Your body is creating the symptom. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Your body is responding to some sort of stimulus. Most of the time, it's something energetic. Most of the time, it's a thought. Most of the time, it's a belief about yourself or about your life that's actually causing the symptom. Yes, sometimes there can be toxicity and things like that. But if we just give ourselves a medication, is that going to do anything? No. And this is why, if we're honest, in Western medicine, people don't actually get better, right? They get locked into this world of fear of my health is not good, my body's not good. And we get into a story about our life. We get into a story about our body. We get into a story about what's possible for us. And anything that makes your stomach sink or your heart sink is your body's GPS telling you that's BS. That's not true. It's not true. So you need to, wind it back a little bit and let's look at the bigger picture. Now, holistic medicine, energy medicine, or whatever you want to call it, it's this different paradigm of working with the body. It's a different way of interfacing with you. It's this understanding that it's the energy that's actually creating the body. And if we don't look at that, then we're going to have a hard time actually resolving anything within the physicality. Within the physicality, your body is so smart. It's always trying to talk to you. It's always trying to guide you back to you. Symptoms are always trying to guide you back to your authentic self. That is all that's happening, always, only, ever. So instead of, looking at something that's happening in your body and saying, oh my God, say, thank you. What is the deeper message here? And we're going to talk about, how to actually tune in and see what the deeper message is here, because, you're the only one who can tune into that, right? You have complete freedom over your body. You have the ability to heal your body. Your body is natural state is vibrant health. And so when we're unplugged and experiencing something that's not vibrant health or health, or it's a state of decline, then we know we've unplugged from a part of ourselves. We've actually unplugged from love, as Dr. Mortar would say, we've unplugged from love, right? He was an amazing chiropractor from Mortar Institute. Amazing, amazing person. And I was just telling Lisa when, last night I was listening to an interview with Dr. Alex Lloyd, who was talking about this study that they did in Dallas, Texas at, I think it's Southwestern or Southeastern University. I'm not sure which one it was. But they were talking about how they were actually did a 7-year study to see, well, what is actually causing people to get cancer? What is actually causing people to get ALS, Parkinson's? Did they just draw the short straw? If everyone in their family is healthy and you all grew up eating the same thing and you all grew up in the same environment, why are 5 of your siblings fine and all of a sudden you get this thing, right? Because how frustrating is it for you to go to your doctor, have a diagnosis, and them to say, well, we don't know what to do, but let's try these medications. I think that you're worth more than that, right? So what they discovered is that it's nothing that's actually, nothing physical that's coming into the body that's causing these things, but rather they narrowed it down to cellular memory. And so what that means, if we take out the word cellular and we're just left with the word memory, what we know is that it is the memory of past experiences and what we made it mean about us, what we made it mean about what we could have, what we made it mean about how we could express ourselves. It's the memories of the past that we hold that are actually creating the dis-ease in the body, the dis-ease in the harmony of your systems. And how amazing is that discovery? We who have learned to deal with our body in this way, we've kind of understood this for a long time, but it's amazing to see Western medicine finally catching up to know there's something else. And now that we have this information, now how do we interface with ourselves at that level? How do we start to clean up and tune into what are we feeling? What is actually stuck in there, right? And there are so many amazing practitioners out there that work with energy that can help you find and unravel those parts and pieces. And that is really, Lisa and I were talking about this new paradigm of what we'll call medicine being created. The old system that doesn't work anyways is going by the wayside, and people are like, we're getting the sense that there's something else happening. Right. And Lisa and I and so many others are like, yes, there is, and this is how we work with our bodies. But there's this whole new paradigm for you to plug into to get the answers, to start to resolve things that are happening in your body, to start to expand, to start to know that you are not confined by what your body is doing. Actually, your body is trying so hard to communicate with you. And Lisa is an amazing example of when she was dealing with her illness or dis-ease, so to speak, her dis-ease, the symptoms that her body was creating, she decided, I'm going to tune in and see what I really need here, because your body has an innate wisdom. And when we learn to tune into that, we are so free. We are free to expand and regenerate and expand and regenerate and regenerate and regenerate and regenerate, right? And we know that every 7 years, everything in our body has actually regenerated. We have a new liver, we have a new brain, we have new bones, we have new everything. We have new skin. Every cell has regenerated. So every 7 years, you actually have a brand new body. So why do we keep recreating a body that continually ages? And that is because the imprint of the energy within the cell. If we can create a new cell, but if it's automatically imprinted again with this old memory, it's going to cause the same type of decline in the body. So until we deal with that cellular memory or the energy, so to speak, underneath the condition, we're going to keep recreating decline. And so what would happen if we dealt with the big stuff, right? The big stuff. We don't need to deal with every single thing, because I don't know if that's even possible, but we can deal with the big stuff. And so our body is regenerating and actually creating anew, right? Actually creating a younger, more vital body every year, every 3 years, every 2 years. That is what's available to you always.
Absolutely. I love that. One of the things that Dr. Hammer, the one who discovered the 5 biological laws, discovered that every time the body heals itself, it heals at a better level. Meaning, like, if you break your arm, when that bone heals, that bone is going to heal a little bit thicker, a little bit stronger. If you have an issue with an organ, and that organ heals, it heals at a higher level. So the body is always upping its game. It is always getting better. So I love what you say. Why are we continually recreating at a lower level?
Yeah.
And it's because most people have no idea that they're actually the one that is creating the situation in their body.
Exactly. And that's a good point. If we are always healing stronger and we always are regenerating stronger, but our mind is stuck in a story of, oh, look, I'm aging. Oh, my back is hurt forever, so I'm going to stay in that story about it. Or we're feeling about the way that we feel. There's a word for that, and I can never think of it. When you're sick and then you have an emotional response to the way that you feel. But if we're stuck in that story, we're going to keep creating it in the body. So I think, and you can speak to this too, that one of the first steps when it comes to really bringing vitality back to your system, or what we call healing, is tuning back into the reality that rejuvenation and vitality is actually what's happening inside your body, and tune into that story. And even if you don't see it yet in your system, like plugging your mind into that truth it's a must, right? Because the RAS system in the brain is always going to look for what you tell it to look for. Like when you start saying, oh, look at all the yellow cars, you start seeing yellow cars everywhere. It'll look for evidence. So if we use that same interface with the body and say, oh, I'm feeling better today. I'm feeling better and better today. Or I don't feel that great today, but that's okay because tomorrow I'm going to feel better and my body is rejuvenating and my natural birthright, my natural state is vitality. If we keep plugging into that story, because we're going to plug into some story, we might as well make it a good one.
Absolutely.
And this is how people are resolving, health challenges. They're doing it all day, every day. And why not plug into what we are seeing works instead of plugging into something that's called a medical practice where we don't know if this is going to work. So here's a whole bunch of chemicals to dump into your system. Obviously, it's not going to work. Now that we've had this conversation, we know why that's not going to work.
Absolutely. When we look at, we've all been taught that we are the body. We're all taught to look at all the physical stuff, but we're the non-physical being in the body. We are the energy and the consciousness in the body, the intelligence in the body. And we are connected to part of, cannot be separated from source. And source is the life flow of all that is. It is the source of all life. And that energy is available to us 24/7. It is flowing to us and through us. And how we utilize that energy is, our thoughts determine how we utilize that energy. So if we're utilizing that energy in, oh my gosh, I'm not okay, this isn't good, this is bad, I'm aging, I'm getting old, then that's how we're utilizing that energy. We're telling the body exactly what story we want to tell. So the body is simply going, okay, let me just tell that story with you. Instead of, if we switch our story and realize that we're infinite beings, we don't die, we can't cease to exist, we already exist, we have life. So if we start tuning into ourselves at that level, at the soul level, at who we actually are, we can simply start looking at the energy and start flowing our life force energy consciously in the direction that we actually would like to experience, rather than trying to run and hide from the experiences that we don't want, which simply attracts those experiences directly to us.
Exactly. And it's such a good visual for people too. If you picture the stream of energy coming through, down through your body, we can take that, and it is a high amperage energy. And I tell people this is like high amperage, right? You've got to breathe to let yourself actually receive all of that. It's a high amperage coming into the body, and we can take that energy, that pure creative life force that is perfection, it's happiness, it's joy, it's vital health, it's abundance, it's all the things. That is what the information that lies within that frequency. And we can direct that into, my life sucks, nothing works for me, I'm a bad person, I can't have the things that I want. And whatever we direct that high amperage energy to, we're going to expand it and expand it and expand it, right? Because universe, which we can call love, God, source, whatever you want to call it, universe means one song, right? One verse. And that verse is yes. So whatever you're pointing that energy to is the universe saying, yes, yes, you suck. Yes, you're sick. Yes, right? And so if we're like, oh, wait, let me use this in my favor, I'm going to take that energy and I'm going to pump it into a new story, even if I don't have evidence of it yet. I'm going to pump it into a new story. And so the universe is like, yes, yes, yes. And it amplifies that new story, right? I think Derek Rydell talked about this. He's like, the universe isn't personal. It's not like if you're a good person, then the universe is going to just be good to you. It's not like you have to suffer and then prove that you work hard enough and then all of a sudden gold is going to drop on your doorstep. It's no, the universe is really principle. It's always saying yes to whatever you are saying yes to. So what are you saying yes to? Are you settling for not feeling well just because no one in your family ever felt that well, and so you just decided unconsciously, like, this is just all that I can have, or this is just normal for me. What are you unconsciously saying yes to? And I think that's a conversation that really everyone needs to have with themselves. What am I actually saying yes to? Right? And we can look at what's showing up in our body, what's showing up in our health, what's showing up in our life, and that's going to tell you exactly what you're saying yes to. And so we can take that high amperage and send it into what we actually want to expand in our life. And you can be creative, you can make it up. Why not? You've made up half of the stuff anyways. I know Dr. Alex Lloyd, he was saying, because he works with these cellular memories, he said 98% of what you're remembering is actually not true. It didn't actually happen in the way that you're remembering it happening. And so you actually have created a story about what was actually happening. So let's create new stories, because you can. And doesn't it feel better? And if that feels better, that is your body saying yes, right? Your body has that divine intelligence, and it really needs to be spoken to and spoken about, which is what I love about your everything that you do, because you're speaking about that divine intelligence, right? You're beating the drum of that divine intelligence and making it more real than your circumstances, making it more real than the disease you might experience, making it more real than any situation you might be experiencing in your life that doesn't feel good, right? Always come back to that divine intelligence. And you were talking about love, bringing that love in, which is that universe, which is that soul energy, which is that source energy, love. And we know in quantum science that what the frequency of love does, because love is just a frequency, right? We can take out the word love and just say this particular frequency of, say, 400, 500, whatever it is. I don't know, I'm making something up. This particular frequency acts as a cancellation wave. So we know that when we see illness in the body, we can actually measure the frequency of it. And when we send love into that frequency, it'll actually cancel the wave out and create a coherent wave. So I love quantum science. I love being able to, speak to things in a quantum science type of viewpoint. But we know that, like I said, disharmony in the body, dis-ease, pain, and dysfunction have an incoherent wave. And love comes in and cancels out that wave and creates this very nice coherent wave in the body, which is harmony, which is balance, which is your body feeling good. I mean, we can actually measure this scientifically. It's fascinating. It's fascinating. I love this stuff. It's amazing. And we've experienced it so many times.
Absolutely. We're saying good morning to Shannon and Delbert, my dad, Michelle and Lee. Hey, Lee. Lee says, stop telling yourself you're old and sick. He loves this. So Lee is a great example. He is in his 70s and he is more fit than most 20-year-olds. So we love that. And Delbert says, this conversation message needs to continually be shouted from the mountaintop.
I agree.
Absolutely. I love that you're talking about the frequency, because everything is energy, and all energy has frequency. And that energy is being collapsed into particles, which we are experiencing as our physical realities. So everything that we have been telling ourselves, everything that we believe, is what we are experiencing. So the story that you have told yourself up until this very moment is the story that is being played out around in your own personal life. And, we have quite easy evidence of that. Look at the story that has been told. And then now on a worldwide basis, somebody's told a story, and then everybody believed the story. Now we're living the story. So we have direct evidence that what we believe is what we experience. So going back to what you said before, tell a better story. Right now, the world is telling a story that there are people that want us to be telling this story because they are benefiting hugely from us reacting to their story. So
Exactly.
if we don't enjoy living out this story, we actually have the ability to change the story. And we have the ability to create a brand new, beautiful, amazing, heaven on earth story simply by shifting our focus and realizing that we are the soul, we are unlimited, we can take our own life force energy and direct it in a brand new direction.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's so important too to, you know, when you talk about if we're living a story that isn't enjoyable, that is our cue that we are telling ourselves a story that's not true, right?
Exactly.
Like there's no hope for me. I can't have what I want. I'm unworthy. People out there don't love me. They won't, no one wants to hear what I have to say. Whatever the heck stories we're telling ourselves, tell yourself a different story, right? And then your brain will start looking for evidence in a really amazing way to, you know, to work with your brain like that is to ask a why question. Like, why do people love me? Why am I so worthy? Why do things always work out in my favor? Why, you know, do I feel so great today? Why are, you know, things falling into place for me? Because when you send a message to your brain like that, your brain is like a little golden retriever. It's like, okay, what do you want me to do today? Oh, that's what you want me to answer? Okay, let me go and find evidence. You know, but if we're like, why am I not getting better? Why do I feel so bad? Why is nothing working out for me? Your brain's like, okay, what do you want me to find evidence of today? Okay, let me go find you some evidence, right? And that's
Exactly.
working with the psychology. But, you know, when we really work with the energy, we're going to move mountains faster, right? Because we know
Absolutely.
that the brain and the mind really don't have, they are very impactful in what happens in the body. But when we work with the body, we can make changes much faster than if we just worked with the mind alone. Like we've got to work with both. We've got to work with the breath. We've got to work with, you know, moving the energy somehow. And there are so many different ways and amazing people who teach all the different ways, because one way isn't going to work for everybody, right? There's so many different things. I've healed myself of certain things that no amount of Googling was going to help me with. I had to tune in and say, all right, let me find the answer, because nothing out there is giving me the answer. They're telling me how to cope, how to manage it, how to keep symptoms in check. And I'm not down with that. Like, that's not acceptable for me. That doesn't sound true to me. Right. And so I'm like, all right, let me go into myself and let me figure this out, because no one outside of me knows anything, apparently, you know. And I remember the day that my body shifted, it was just like that. I was sitting by a tree. I was doing this cross-link position, just kind of working in my energy field. And I was just doing this thing with my energy that I figured out how to do, but I think everyone has the ability to do. And just like that, the thing left my body. And what dropped in is, you're never going to be sick with that again. It was just like that.
Yep.
That was it. And it never came back, ever, 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 ever. Never came back.
Absolutely. It's like once we break the pattern, then the pattern doesn't have to show up again.
Exactly.
Same thing with cancer for me. It was like it was completely obvious that that will never show up ever again because I saw through the illusion. So once we start looking to see that the things that we think are happening to our bodies, nothing is ever happening to our bodies. It is happening through our bodies. Western medicine tells us that things are happening to our bodies and that we're victims, and that their pills are the saving grace, that we need to rely on them for our answers. And the answers are never outside of us. Other people can provide information that triggers us to remember the answer that is already inside.
Mhm.
But we don't need to go looking for answers to looking to have other people give us our answers.
Exactly, especially through chemical intervention. It's not
Absolutely.
so, and I think it'd be nice for people to know too, like, where do you start? Like, what are the questions that you started asking yourself when you were like, all right, I'm going to deal with this on my own? Like, where were you looking? What questions were you asking yourself?
So the main thing was, what do I like? I went to, if there was not another person on this planet, and I was having this issue, and I'm the only one on the planet, and I want to heal myself, how would I do that? And I said, all right, I need to know a few things. So what do I actually know about this? Like, what do I know for certain? And I knew for certain that I grew up as a really healthy, fit athlete, and that this body has an amazing design. It could fly through the air, spin like a top, dive to the bottom of the lake, and hold its breath for minutes at a time. Like, I knew that the template for this body was like amazing. So like, I knew that fitness and health were normal. And I knew for certain that because I had been struggling with where do I fit in this world, like nobody sees what I see. Like, I'm the black sheep of the human family here. Like, I don't know how to fit in. So I had all of these unworthiness issues and rejection and all of these kinds of things. And I knew that because I was struggling so hard with my life, that my body was struggling. Like, I knew that there was a connection between the mind and the body. And I knew that my answer lied in clearing out all of the garbage that had been pre-programmed into the mind that was making me feel bad. And I knew that if I could clear out all of that programming, that my body would come back into balance. So that was where I started.
Yeah, yeah.
How
I
about
know.
you?
And Dr. DeMartini, he's so good. He's really, devoted his life to finding what exactly are the emotional underpinnings of all these different diseases. And he's written like a 5,000 page book on it. He's just like the most brilliant person. And he talks specifically about cancer. He's like, cancer is your body's last attempt to try to get you to love yourself.
Love that. Yeah. When we look at the 5 biological laws, there's always a purpose for that, for the cancer. The body is producing it on purpose to try to help us.
Exactly.
But we've just simply been taught that it's the enemy and that we need to fight off the enemy and that we need to run and hide from the enemy. And we have to, if you haven't experienced the enemy yet, well, you better look for it because it's gonna come at some time. So we better take a look inside there and see what's going on, catch it before it gets you. It's like, this is not a way to live.
The downward spiral. That feels like anything but freedom.
Yeah, it's like, let's focus on the thing that we don't want. Oh my goodness. It is living in a prison. It's a pre-programmed prison of ideas. So it's all of these beliefs, and the word lie lies right in the middle of that word, BELIEVE. Believes. we're believing a whole bunch of lies, a whole bunch of things that simply aren't true. So, it's not necessarily a malicious thing. It can definitely be a malicious thing, but our bodies, just like you were talking about earlier, our bodies are our best friends, because our bodies point out the lies immediately, because the body will cringe, the body will feel bad, the energy will drop, something in there you'll get that feeling in the pit of your stomach, or you'll get that little, I don't know, something your body is going to give you, a physical sensation. And we have been taught to run from these physical sensations. Every time the body doesn't feel good, it's like, oh no, what's wrong with me? Nothing's wrong with you. Your body's sending you a message. Simply
Right.
listen to the message.
Exactly.
Notice the message.
Yeah, it is communicating to you exactly what is meant for you, including like the next step. It's all written inside your blueprint. It's all there when you tune into your body. And we spend so much time numbing out the body, and all of the chemical laden foods we're eating and all these things, they're clogging up and blocking the communication from the gut to the heart to the brain, through that, what we call the vagus nerve, right? That is our connection from that gut instinct, from that higher wisdom to the brain. And, when we're not breathing properly, when we're not slowing down, and yes, we're not hydrated and we're not getting fresh air and things, the body gets congested and we feel disconnected from ourself. And then we're always relying on someone outside of us to tell us what to do or what we should do. And we're just following the herd and stepping out of ourselves when your body has all the information for you. And so, when we talk about moving out of a fear-based model of, oh, you have to be careful of this, you have to be careful of this, the model that actually feels expansive is, let me do the things that are going to build my body up, right? Rather than doing the things that are going to bring my body down and degenerate my body. And I'm going to do the things that are going to build myself up, not to protect myself, not to run away from something, but because I love the way it feels when my body is built up, when I'm breathing, when I'm moving, when I have clean life in my body, fresh food, fresh water, because it feels so good. Like, let's focus on feeling so good rather than trying to protect and trying to stay away from and trying to avoid. And, no, we've got to do it differently. And that's just a mindset thing. But you can feel the energetic difference even in just the language, right? And we always want to guide that language in our actions to what feels expansive. And if what you're doing right now doesn't feel expansive, then sit with yourself for a moment and say, okay, well, what does feel expansive? And can I give myself full permission to do that and know that I deserve it just because I'm human, right? Know that I deserve it and I'm good. No matter what's happened in the past, I deserve to feel amazing. And to even circle back to your question that you asked before about what questions did I start to ask myself when I was trying to resolve this thing that had been with me forever, it seemed like, was I asked, well, how would I feel if I didn't have this? How would I feel if I didn't have this? And that led me to the feelings that I had never had, meaning, one of the things, I had this like hormonal imbalance. And, if I didn't have this, well, I would feel really good in my body and I would feel beautiful and I would feel feminine. And those were all feelings that I had never felt. And actually, I battled myself. I had this huge inner conflict. I didn't like myself. I had huge self-image, problems, and I tell people that and they're like, really? I'm like, yes. I didn't want to be seen. I was so, I didn't want anyone near my body, right? And so I'm like, well, if I didn't have this, then I would feel this way. And then I realized that I had created this thing because I wasn't able to give myself permission to feel that way, because to me, it felt dangerous. It felt like something shameful. It felt like something that I shouldn't do. It felt like, oh, I would feel too good. And I don't want people, thinking that I feel too good, because who am I to feel that good? And all of the thoughts and the beliefs began to surface themselves, because the body is responding, but at the same time, we create certain things inside the body to keep us from something that our brain believes is not safe, and I work with a lot of women around weight. And so we're always looking at this. What are you actually afraid of? If you felt really your best, what in that is actually scary, right? And it starts to unravel and surface those deeper beliefs that are stuck in our nervous system. It's really fascinating when we begin to unravel the human in this way, but when we do, we can break through calcification in the brain. And, intuitively, that's what it looks like. It's like old sheetrock plaster. We pull the tape out and it all breaks apart, like that old horsehair plaster. It all just breaks apart. And then all of a sudden the body can catch up with what your mind actually wants when we clear out that old energy, those old fears, those old beliefs about the self, of not being worthy or not being good enough, or who am I to feel that worthy? All the things that are unconscious, and you've probably talked to people and are like, well, no, I don't feel afraid to feel good. I want to feel good. And well, if you really wanted it, you would have it right now. So there's a reason there. There's something that you are afraid of that comes in the realm of feeling really good. And maybe it's the fear of being confident. There can be a million different things, but they are unconscious. They're created so long ago. And some of it we know now through epigenetics that it gets passed down through the DNA, right?
Maybe thought patterns get passed down.
Exactly. Which is interesting because a lot of, doctors will say, oh, it's genetic, that, that heart disease, it's genetic, that the diabetes, it's genetic. No, it's not the disease, it's the thought pattern and the behavior, the thing that never got resolved, that gets tagged on the methylation pathway in the DNA. And then lo and behold, we express that behavior, whether it's alcoholism or diabetes, heart disease. It's an energetic thought pattern or emotional pattern that gets passed down. And we know this now. So why are we not on a mass level plugging into this information, saying, okay, well, let's create this new realm of medicine? And that's like, what we're doing. We're creating a new platform of medicine, of now we know how the human works. Let's interface with the human at this level and really make some changes. And, like we were talking about before, this whole new paradigm of medicine is being created, of well-being is being created, and it has no limits. And this one, there are no limits on how good you can feel. There are no limits around what's healable and what's not, because everything is healable. It's your natural state. There are no limits around how long it's going to take, none
or
of
how
that.
long you can live.
Exactly. None of that is relevant. It doesn't exist in this realm. That's old language.
Absolutely.
We know better now because we've experienced something very different. And so that's what we're talking about. And that's what we want to shout from the rooftops and share with people. We've experienced something very, very different that is very real and reproducible. And so we're so passionate, both Lisa and I, about talking about this and sharing this information, because it's liberating. It's liberating.
Absolutely. Yes. It breaks down those invisible prison walls that humanity has been living inside for years and decades and millennia. And, now we're seeing that, so many of us are living in a completely new paradigm. We have already shifted into a brand new way of living. And, there's on the televisions, they're shouting the old ways, stay in the old ways, stay in the old ways, listen to us, listen to us, listen to us. You can't be healthy. You have to be sick. You're going to get sick, be careful. Yeah. And, most people just simply, they're not listening when those messages are shouted so loud, and they don't feel good in our bodies.
No.
And people take that fear that is being projected onto us, and then they go, oh no, I have to do something to get rid of this fear. I have to listen to them because they're telling me if I do what they tell me to do, then I won't be afraid anymore. Mm-hmm. Like, well, unfortunately, your body is actually telling you to tune in and start listening to yourself.
Right.
Because there's so much more. The body is literally telling you you're listening to a lie. Exactly. You're listening to something that's not true. The words that you're hearing don't feel good in your body because they're not true.
Exactly.
We've never been taught to listen to our own bodies. And we've got Lee says, I think being 71 and beyond feels absolutely great. Please reject the cultural stereotypes of what being older is like. It's wonderful. Yay, Lee, way to go.
Exactly. Yeah, we inherit just these societal beliefs about what age looks like or what happens when you get old. And I love talking about that because the only thing that's happening when you see yourself age is, one, you're not giving yourself the things that you need, like nutrition, water, movement, fun, and you haven't expanded yourself. You've probably been stuck at, okay, well, this is just what I do now. I retire and I do nothing. That's not it. You're always growing, you're always expanding. And so, yeah, a lot of aging, because people can age at 30, they can age at 40, or they can age at 100. And it's just when you decided to stop growing, you kind of unplug from that natural impetus of growth.
And what if we don't have to age at all?
Exactly. Yeah. I know, like, why did, the Ming Dynasty, why did they live to 250 and 500 years old? And then all of a sudden, we're getting up to like 105. And for every year that, not medicine, but as science progresses, we'll actually live a little bit longer, and that is due to people plugging into a new understanding of their body, a new energy, a new way of interfacing with themselves.
And with a new possibility. It's like,
Exactly.
oh, well, now it's possible to live a little bit longer. So now, maybe I can. So they tap into that possibility, but we haven't even tapped into the possibility that we actually don't have to age. That if our bodies are regenerating and rejuvenating themselves, and we have a brand new body every 7 years, it's only that resistance, it's only the driving with the foot on the brake that is making the body age. And that thought pattern of, I have to age, now I'm getting older,
Now I have to slow down.
Absolutely. But when we start to really say, what if my body doesn't actually have to age? What if I can just simply live for hundreds of years? And it is documented, Saint Germain walked through Europe for like 300 years, looking perfectly young and fit the whole time. There are documented cases of people living for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
And
yeah. And it's so important when we do plug ourselves into a new potential, a new reality, a new possibility, or we decide, making a decision like, no, I'm going to live as if, right? It's so important to then back that commitment up, that decision up with action, right? If you're like, no, I'm going to, okay, I retired, but now instead of me making it mean my life has to look like this, I'm going to start a whole new freaking chapter. And I'm going to take the best care of myself that I ever did. And I'm going to give myself the absolute best, food, water, all the things, movement. I'm going to start doing that. And I'm going to live as if my body is regenerating. Because if we live as if our body is sick, if we live as if our body is aging, if we live as if we're declining, if we're living as if, oh, I'm just getting older, right? Can you feel the energy come down? But what if we live as if something else? And this is, such an important thing, that those cells, your chemistry, it's all responding to the story that you're telling it.
Exactly.
There is no set way. There is no truth. Your truth is the only truth, and you get to decide. So decide something that freaking feels good.
Exactly. So as we go back toward that beginning of the conversation, where we're talking about source is life force energy. And when we have that faucet open and we're actively flowing life force energy to and through our bodies, we feel good. When we're out running and skipping and jumping and playing and having a great time and really enjoying life and allowing that life force energy to flow through, our bodies are rejuvenating and regenerating all the time. But as soon as we turn that faucet down and we don't let that life force energy, we start shutting down the flow, then the body starts shutting down the flow as well. So every single one of those thought patterns that say, I can't, I won't, I'm getting older, those all just simply shut down the flow.
Exactly. It's a contraction. The body does two things. It contracts or it expands. That's all it's ever doing. Thoughts,
Yep,
fears, beliefs, they cause contraction, right? Illness is
exactly.
contraction. Toxicity anywhere in the body, like we see a lot of toxic gut, that's contraction in the solar plexus. We have contraction, heart disease, it's contraction at the heart. You know, it's the contraction that blocks off the flow. It's really basic.
Well, and
Like,
it's the contraction that is showing that we have blocked off the flow. So,
exactly.
and the contraction wherever, if it's a contraction in the heart, well, we've blocked the flow of love to ourselves. The contraction in the gut. It's like, well, we've blocked the flow, that we're not digesting things properly. So what is it that's indigestible that we're blocking the flow by believing that something is amiss? It's like the body will tell us exactly where the blockage in our flow is.
Exactly. And that's a good point, that it's never, life is never giving us something. Like, life is never unfair. Like, no, life is doing that to me. No, you are doing it to you. And as soon as we can take that ownership, then we're free.
Exactly.
Because we've taken the power back. Let me do the inner work, or let me find someone to help me understand and unravel these pieces. And there are plenty of people to do that. Lisa does that. I do that. There are tons of people out there that do it and have done it and teach their own processes all over the world. But take that power back and release those main contractions for yourself. I think we all have contraction around the heart, right? Around our worthiness. That's the demon of the heart chakra. And we all have contractions. It doesn't make us bad. It doesn't make us good. It just is, okay, this is what I have. So my work is to, own my worthiness. That's what my soul came to do, to own my worthiness, to own my power, to own my my sensuality, to own my voice, to own my brilliance. Your soul came in here, and we can, that's a whole nother conversation.
A great one.
Because we might say that our soul put certain obstacles in our way to force us to own a part of us that we had previously disowned. That's all it's trying to do. The body's trying to get you back to your power, back to yourself. Always, that's what it was designed to do. It's all it's ever doing. It's all working in your favor. Everything that's happening in your body is happening for you.
Absolutely. When we look at how humanity has been set up, how society has been set up, it is set up to disempower us. All of the systems, the system of government, the system of banking, the system of religion, the system of education, all of these systems are designed to steal our power. They're designed to tell us that we're victims, that we're not smart enough, that we're not good enough, that we're sinners, that, blah, 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 so that we believe that we don't have the power. And then we rely on the systems to take care of us and to tell us what to do. And then we're simply just giving all of our power away. And we're living under the impression that, that we're just simply victims, that life is happening to us. And as soon as we take our power back and realize that I'm the creator, I am the one that's creating all of this. I am responsible for my own reactions. I am responsible for my energy flow. I am responsible for opening up the flow of the energy or shutting it down. And if I'm living a life that is not to my liking, I'm the one that needs to change it. I can't go running off to somebody else to say, fix me. But,
Right.
you know, we have that as we're watching this start to play out. And from my own perspective, it's like humanity is in like the healing epicrisis right now. It's like we're really, everybody's going, wait a minute, what is actually happening here? And it's serving to start waking everybody up. We're not victims, and especially of great big human beings afraid of little teeny tiny organisms. They're so small that we can't even see them with our eyes. We have to look for them under a microscope. And those have power over us? I don't think so.
Yeah. I mean, and that's such an interesting conversation too. And you know, it is mindset, and it's also when your energy is open, your body is very resilient. It is made to handle anything. But when we're so contracted and there is no life force, our body doesn't like have the resiliency to do what it's made to do, you know.
Exactly.
And that's where we see people get sick, people don't get sick, people bedridden, people not experience any symptoms or have a stuffy nose or something, you know. That is what's happening. And they're so, you know, and this is a conversation that always like irks me when people are like, oh, this person, they had no underlying diseases and they're so sick. But the thing that they had was contraction, and we don't have blood tests for contraction. We don't have tests to see what you're carrying energetically. We don't have tests for that, right? But trust me that your body is not going to just get sick if you are open and vital. It doesn't mean that maybe you don't have any diagnosed disease, you're not on medication, but that does not mean that you are in your healthiest, most radiant state because of the things that we carry, because of how open we are, because of what our inner resilience is in any given moment. And that's, you know, something that we can purposefully expand as we open our bodies and really surrender to that source energy that is always trying to come through anyways, that always is anyways. You know, the more we do that, the better we are. We get our freaking brain out of the way and just let the energy come in and do its thing. I know when I first started like really saying, all right, I'm so frustrated with my life. I just need to get my head out of the way, and I just need to surrender to source energy. So I would literally go out on my deck in the morning and just stand there like this, like just letting it all in, letting it in through my body, connecting to it. And that simple thing like really started to change the momentum of my day. It is so simple, but it connected me to something else. It connected me to the fact that there was a higher wisdom, right? And we can know that, but it's different when we feel it in our body, because when you feel it in your body, then the change is going to happen because it's happening at a nervous system level. And when I could feel it in my body, something very physical, you know, my whole system responded to that as a new truth. You know, I can tell myself I'm divine, I'm connected to a higher power. I can say that all day, but until my body feels it, I'm just like, you know, painting pink on my forehead and hoping that it seeps into my brain to change things.
Right. Exactly. We have to embody
Yeah.
our wisdom. So as soon as that light bulb moment happens, the body just goes, wee, you know, and there's just that release and that opening, that aha moment is just like, oh, and that sigh of relief, and the body just tells us, hey, you just embodied your wisdom. Now we can make it real. Now we can live it. I love that. We have Gabby, Miss Night Owl in Australia. Woohoo! She says, yes, we definitely need to move into a new paradigm in health and medicine. Woohoo! Thanks for staying up so late with us, Gabby.
We tend to make things more complicated than they need to be, really. It's really much easier if we just allow it to be easy. And that's a story, again, a story. What if you let it be easy? What if you let it be more easy than anything you've ever done? What if well-being was the easiest thing you've actually ever done? Instead of trying to fix, trying to heal, what would it look like to actually just create well-being instead of trying to fix, instead of trying to heal? What if creating well-being was the easiest thing you ever did, because it's what your system knows, because it's your
And,
natural state.
and it's what's natural. Absolutely. Like
Exactly.
well-being is like our template. It's the blueprint. It's where the
Mhm.
body is always kind of trying to come back to.
Mhm.
And everything is pointing us directly at our own well-being. But
Exactly.
we have just been programmed to try to run away from everything that's pointing us at our well-being. So,
Yeah, let it be easy. It is
uh,
your natural state. And then live as if that's true. Live as if it's true, because that's when we see brain actually rewire, when we live as if something's true, when we decided. And in well-being is a decision. Like, no, I am deciding that this is it. And a decision means all other options are off the table. Every other door is closed. Not maybe, not only when, not only if I feel like it, not only if the people around me are being nice, not only if, people do what I want them to do, but it is decision no matter what. That is a decision. And then you live as if, and that's how you really become the leader of your life, the creator of your life, and the master of your life and your energy.
absolutely. Amen. I love that. Kelly, this has been such a beautiful conversation.
Yes. Yes, it has. Thank you so much for having me on. Of course, we could talk about this all day.
Yes, I hope you'll come back and we can talk about more things, because I think that, I think that this type of conversation is extremely empowering for people, because, the people that are ready for this and, maybe just need that little extra push, that little boost of confidence that, yes, you are on the right path. If you are trying to follow your gut, but nobody else is going that direction, listen to your gut, because your gut is your body is your inner guidance system. And when you start to truly really tune in, you are tuning into your soul, into the soul level wisdom, source wisdom. There is no higher wisdom than that. So
Exactly.
listen to yourself and your
Yeah.
cells.
And surround yourself with people that are doing the same thing, right? Unplug and plug yourself into the people that are doing it, that are making you feel good. We need that. That is proven, that we need those anchors around us. Otherwise, it's hard to change those thoughts sometimes if you have people telling you, well, don't do that. Well, I don't know if you should do that with your body. I don't trust. Plug yourself into people like us and other people out there who are having these conversations that feel expansive, right? That's how you know that it is truth.
Absolutely. Beautiful. So Kelly, how can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, so so I do all kinds of different things. I do consulting, I do coaching. I also, help people really transform their health or their body. I use that special gift I have to be able to look in and actually see what your beliefs are, that are causing that specific thing for you. And you can contact me at kellymlibby.com. You can follow me on Instagram at kellymlibby, Facebook as well, or email me kelly@kellymlibby.com. Any questions or anything like that, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to give you some guidance, or refer you to someone who I think would be a good fit for you if I'm not, because that's just what we do here.
Absolutely. And Delbert says, yes, Kelly, please do more of these conversations with Lisa. So refreshing.
Awesome, Albert. Thank you so much.
Beautiful.
That's great.
Yes, I would love to have you back on. So we'll talk about that later on. So thank you so much. Thank you, everybody who's contributed to the conversation today in our Soul Sourced Healing Facebook group. And if you're listening to this on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up, give us a like, let us know that you enjoyed the conversation. And if you enjoyed the conversation, it was helpful, please share it so that other people can benefit as well. So
So much, everyone.
Yes, thank you all so much. I'm Lisa Warner. I am the author of The Simplicity of Self-Healing and creator of the Soul Embodiment Mastermind. So thank you all so much for listening this morning. We really appreciate it, or this night, wherever you are in the world. And we look forward to talking to everyone again next week on Solution Sunday. So Kelly, thank you so much. Have a great week.
Thank you all. Bye now.